Hey everyone, we have Anton here from 1inch. He's one of the co-founders. We'll be doing a talk on advantages of the layer 1 dexes over layer 2. Can you guys confirm that you can hear him in the chat once he starts talking? And feel free to start talking.
Yeah. Hello, okay, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, hope you hear me well. Okay, yeah, my name is Anton Bukov. I'm co-founder and CTO of 1inch Exchange. So today I'm gonna talk about layer 1 DEXes advantages over layer 2 DEXes. If we would compare layer 1 with layer 2 DEXes directly, we would notice that layer 2 Dexes has lower latency, higher throughput, and lower fees. Uh, Generally, if we're talking about layer 1 Dexes, it is Dexes which are smart contract based. They could have off-chain or on-chain liquidity, and you always can interact with them with just transactions in Ethereum network or different blockchain network, any blockchain network. And this is as simple as just calling some method of some smart contracts from different smart contracts or from wallet. But if we are talking about layer 2 DEXs, it's pretty different. There is always a smart contract which serves as a storage of funds. So you can, for example, deposit with transaction, and then you should interact with some server of some company. It's like centralized solution, and you will send some signatures which confirms your actions. So you can deposit some tokens, then you can swap them with just signatures. It would work faster. This DEXs could serve much more transactions than layer 1 DEXs, and fees will be much lower. But at the end, when you will continue end your swap and you will need your money in blockchain, you have to withdraw. And this looks like separate actions. Deposit, do some swaps, and then withdrawal. So it is how it behaves. But if we would compare them directly, layer 1 over layer 2, we would see it seems like layer 2 is more perfect over layer 1. But today I'm gonna tell you what feature of layer 1 DEXs is missing for layer 2 DEXs right now. And from my point of view, it is very important. I'm talking about composability. So when you have DEX on layer 1, any other smart contract could interact with it, and this DEX could benefit from composability. Um, some other projects, like for example, DEX Aggregators, could interact with layer 1 DEXs and can provide volumes. For example, most of the launched layer 1 DEXs, some of them were IMMs, like Balancer, Curve, Swerve, M-Stable, DMM. There are like a lot of different DEXs launched this year. Most of them are alive, and most of them are getting volumes from aggregators. And it's like significant part of their volumes. But if we're talking about layer 2 DEXs, there is a problem with composability. So aggregators are not using them right now because it's not just complex to implement, it's about risks. We can't achieve composability without risks, like we do not have atomicity with interacting with these DEXs. Some volumes could be brought from layer 2 by arbitrage traders, but it's not atomic, and this also involves some risks. And it's like the same as bringing volumes and arbitrage with centralized exchange, with like external resource. And yeah, this is like a chicken egg problem. A lot of layer 2 dexes faces this issue. They don't have a lot of users until they have competitive prices, low slippages, and etc. But they will not have great prices and low slippages until they will have a lot of users. This is called chicken egg problem. So a layer 1 interaction is really simple. Most of the layer 1 dexes, AMMs, they have just a method which allows anyone to swap anything, some token to some token. And different smart contracts could use it. People could use it directly. If we're talking about layer 2 interaction flow, this happens in 3 steps, exactly the same way as it happens on centralized exchanges. I mean, like flow. It's deposit, some trades which happens off chain when you provide your signatures, and at the end you have to make withdrawal to get your funds on chain. This creates like issues if any other project is trying to interact with layer 2 DEX. It's pretty complex. So smart contracts could interact potentially with layer 2, but it's not atomic, and it will not work like as it happens with layer 1 right now. So why DEX aggregators interact with different DEXes? This is pretty simple. Right now, we can see that Dexes, they do build really complex paths to achieve lower slippage, and then they can utilize every Dex on layer 1 in single transaction. So, for example, if you would swap Ether to Compound USDT, following could happen under the hood. Part of liquidity could be swapped into DAI, part to USDC, and then they could be swapped into USDT using stable token specialized AMM like Curve or Swerve or something like this. So this is only possible because of atomicity of all these DEXs and Ethereum transactions. So everything happens inside one transaction, and if some of the steps fails, all transaction could be reverted. But this is not allows aggregators to use external sources like layer 2 DEXs. So what I'm talking about, that this composability feature of layer 1 DEXs makes them stronger because of DEX aggregators. There are a number of aggregators on the market, and they all are providing volumes to all these DEXs. And right now, layer 1 DEXs, comparing to what like was 1 year ago, all layer 1 DEXs are united into single huge high liquid DEX, but most layer 2 DEXs have chicken egg problem, and it's like a real issue to get users, to get competitive prices like low slippages. So what really happens on Ethereum is that all the united layer 1 DEXs, united by different aggregators, they could offer better rates than some centralized exchanges. And they can easily compete with layer 2 because layer 2 have some benefits, but prices are much less competitive on most of them. And if we're talking about launching new DEX on layer 1 or layer 2, you should think about like where you would get all the volumes? How would you capture your users? Because layer 2 dexes are competing with each other to get all the volumes, all the users, while layer 1 dexes are not competing much. They are like competing in terms of provided formulas of AMMs, provided fees or non-fees, and they are mostly getting their users and volumes for free because of aggregators. And yeah, latest trend in aggregators, like initially aggregators were pretty simple. It was just splitting among several sources. And this approach is pretty simple. Anyone can understand it. The more you swap on each separate DEX, the worse is the rate. But if you would split among many DEXs, you would swap less amount on each of them and you would get better rate. But right now, like 1 year passed since first on-chain aggregator appears, like 1inch, and any other. And right now, we see that aggregators, they are working much more complex than it was initially. They are building like complex multipaths, which could dramatically improve exchange rate. For example, if you would swap Ether to stable token, you could notice it could grab liquidity from different pairs, like getting all the possible liquidity from Ether DAI, from Ether USDC, and Ether USDT as well, and then swapping it to USDT using stable token AMMs. So yeah, I'm not trying to tell that layer 1 is better than layer 2, but there is like one feature which makes layer 1's dexes much stronger than layer 2. But what I also see that some products like Optimism, like Metro Labs, some companies, they're trying to create layer 2, which allows to have smart contracts and to deploy smart contracts. And it's like arbitrary layer 2, which behaves same way as layer 1. And this could make that some dexes could appear in single layer 2. It's like having layer 2 where anyone can deploy smart contracts. So different DEX could appear and they could work in atomic way between each other. And some aggregators for sure can aggregate them, and then it would work. It would work again the same way as it worked for layer 1 DEXs right now. But having layer 2 DEX in a separate layer 2 is like having it on a separate planet. It's a huge problem and a huge pain of each project to get users, to get volumes, while layer 1 dexes, it's just anyone can launch own AMM, provide liquidity, and if prices are competitive, uh, aggregators will bring you volumes. It's pretty simple. For example, like 1inch integrates most of the new layer 1 dexes from day 0, day 1. Most of aggregators will aggregate you in possibly 1 week. So uh, I will finalize my slides that building dexes on layer 1 is much simpler than on layer 2, and it would give you users and volumes for free because all the existing aggregators will use your layer 1 dex to improve the prices. But if you try to launch separate layer 2 dex, it will be not really easy for you because you will have no users, no good prices, huge spreads, and you will try to get somewhere these users, get somewhere market makers, and it's insanely complex to compete in this way. But I believe we would see layer 2 solutions possibly this year, which would allow to have multiple arbitrary smart contracts to be deployed into them. And it would be cool because this would allow aggregators to work on layer 2 and a lot of different dexes to be happen in the same layer 2. And this would allow dexes to benefit from composability. So when I mean, composability became one of the most interesting part of DeFi and of the DEXes since last year. So building a non-composable DEX is such a pain right now. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. There is a button ask question on bottom, so you can use it to create questions, and you are free to vote on existing questions. I can, while I don't see any questions in chat, I can possibly describe anything else what is also related to the topic. So I can talk about accounting of gas costs during aggregation and building a multipath. So like what we recently implemented in 1inch and have it right now. Yeah, we're building such a complex multipath as you can see on this slide, for example. But I believe FUSDT edge is missing because, of course, there are some liquidity on Ether to USDT, which could be swapped directly. Oh, I see. I see some questions. Okay. Are you guys going to make in a browser client like MetaMask is adding on exchange aggregator? Um, MetaMask added a lot of different aggregators and 1inch as well. So we're going to improve our algorithms, improve our paths, and provide like the best price on the market. So we're going to compete with all the aggregators because we can do this because we have like a lot of innovations in this area. It makes no sense for me to make one more client since client aggregated us, like wallet aggregated us and other aggregators. But it's really hard to compare different aggregators. If you would see different quotes in MetaMask, for example, you can't compare them directly. We can find a road for you if you are swapping few $1,000, for example. We can find some road for you. It will be cool, but what if we can find a road which would cost you $20 more gas, but would give you $22 more result? It will be like, it's perfect to follow this way. But you can't compare this with other results because it's not easy to make estimation of the transaction, how much gas it would cost, because simply Ethereum nodes have estimate gas function, but this is estimation of gas limit, not gas used amount, because gas limit is like maximum possible gas used inside transaction. But at the end of the transaction, when you have erased some slots, for example, when you swapped all your balance of your token, your balance will be resetted to 0, and you will get 15K gas refund at the end of the transaction. It will be subtracted after achieving some peak gas used amount, and final gas used will be much lower. So you can check your transactions on some swaps, and you will see if limit is like 300,000-400,000 thousands of gas, actual gas used is much less. It could be 250, 150. It depends, but you can't lower this gas limit to this gas use because of all these gas refunds which happens at the end, because you will not fit in this transaction. So comparing different aggregated transactions is a pain, and it's like a real issue. What's your favorite L2 solution so far? I'm trying to keep like away from layer 2 solutions until we will have a arbitrary layer 2, which would allow us to deploy arbitrary smart contracts to the same single layer 2, because this would allow to have some atomic and composability inside layer 2. Right now, layer 2 is not much composable. There are some approaches to composability of layer 2, but they are too complex to work really. You are the only exchange offering referral bonuses. Why aren't other exchanges doing this? I can't talk for other exchanges or aggregators why they do or don't do something. I'm not sure about this. Yeah. Yeah. Comparing of results of different aggregators, it's one of the most complex things, because if, for example, Ethereum nodes would implement gas estimation, which would allow us to see not only gas limit but gas use, this would help a lot. And we will see possibly like in MetaMask estimation of real gas use, not gas limit, because this would allow people to better understand how much transaction would cost for them. For sure, this would help, but this will not solve this issue for 100%. Yeah. Any other question? So there is opportunity to ask any question, but I hope it will be related to the topic of Dexes, of layer 1, layer 2 Dexes. I believe most of the layer 1 solutions launched this year survived because of composability. If there will be no aggregators, no composability on blockchain, I believe we would like see that some of this layer 1 dexes were like dead right now, but they're alive. It's about Ethereum improvement 1.1551. Possibly, I'm not sure about this number, what exactly it was. Maybe it was about gas refunds. I am not sure. Show us your contracts once again, please. What contracts are we talking about? 1inch have multiple contracts. We have like 1inch.eth smart contract, which works with our API, which computes all the results off chain. And also we have on-chain solution, which is open source on GitHub. It's smart contract based fully. And some of our clients, InstaDeep, Curve Finance, they like this solution because it's always available. It was show us your contacts. Okay. I got it. So I misread. It was like show us your contracts. Yeah, 1inch have also fully on-chain solution, and I would suggest any smart contract developer who interact with different dexes for some reason to check out this code, because it's like huge solidity project which interacts with all the dexes. And right now we are rewriting it to our next version, which is far more advanced. And it's like one of the largest contribution to open source, and this part of 1inch was funded by Gitcoin grants. Yeah, for sure. And we are gonna finish this migration soon. We had like several versions, like one split.eth, one proto.eth, and the next version is one router.eth. It would work in much more advanced way, I believe. It also can take gas fees into account during finding the best roads. So it was about Ethereum Improvement Proposal 1558. Was it about different way to propose to set gas cost, gas price? Let me check. Yeah, it's new gas fees model. Yeah, question is interesting. I really hope this Ethereum Improvement Proposal, I hope it could help to lower gas fees, because right now gas fees are pretty high, and a lot of people are trying to set them higher than they are. Like everyone is trying to pay fast, possibly, and this also increases gas costs. But this EIP also increases block by 2 times. This is great, and it allows us to set gas fees in implicit manner, not explicit. So you will set like relatively speed. Are you gonna make it cheap or fast or something in the middle? And this would make miners to algorithmically select gas prices, and they will not be able to manipulate them potentially. I hope this could lower gas prices potentially. Yeah. Yeah, my contacts is like in Twitter I'm K06A. In Telegram I have one more A at the end, K06AA, because they have requirement to have 5 symbols. What problems did you see with GST2 that made you develop Chi instead of integrating it, and why not support both? Yeah, we initially used GST2 token, but then we noticed potential improvements, because some parts of GST2 gas token were implemented in non like maximum optimized manner, like computation of some addresses. So we found out a way to make it in a more performant way, but then we also found out that it could work on Crate 2. This is like relatively new way to create smart contracts in Ethereum with different, it's like deployment smart contracts from other smart contracts to allow more easily and predictably compute their destination address. And these computations are much cheaper, and this allowed us to make a new gas token cheaper by several percentages. I'm not sure right now. You can check this in our article Medium. It's like possibly 6 to 7 percentages advantage of using Chi instead of GST2. Yeah, potentially we could allow people to use GST2 to burn during transaction, but I'm not sure there are there are a lot of minted GST2 to make it work this way, because it seems everyone, even arbitrage traders who used gas tokens for a while, they are using Chi token right now. So we noticed that most of them dropped support of GST2, and I'm not sure there is like a lot of minted GST2 and someone trying to burn it. So anyway, GST2 and Chi, all these gas tokens, it's like a hack on gas refund model of EVM. I believe EVM could not drop gas refund support as some Ethereum improvement proposals suggest, because this would disincentivize developers to erase any storage. Just imagine erasing storage from smart contract right now cost you 5K of gas, and it would give you gas refund of 15K at the end of the transaction. But if you will not get this gas refund, why to erase any storage at all? You can use new like nonce number, hash it with some keys to store at the new locations. To erase, instead of erasing some piece of storage, you could just advance your nonce and use new clean storage on new level. And for sure, gas refunds is like a necessary part of EVM, and this is why um, smart contracts are written as they're written right now. They are erasing storage when they don't need something, or if they need to rewrite it. Yeah. So I see we have 1 more minute and no more questions.
All right, perfect. So why don't we close out and we can transition to the next talk. Thanks so much for taking the time. This was great.
Yeah, thank you.